Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have any audio? Maybe we do. A little bit. Okay, thanks. Um, this is Marilyn, and it's noon, the noon edition of Welcome to My World. It's Friday, December the 18th at 12 noon. There's been quite a lot of activity this morning. When I look at the indices just across the board, the YM seems to be the strongest of them. The ES is not too far behind it. I'm going to start watching NQ a little closer, but that's the one that's been in a bit of a range. And TF has also. TF is a little more difficult, I think, today. The good news on crude oil is that Congress has, or at least the House, has signed the bill that will allow U.S. crude oil to be exported. And this is the first time in, I don't know, forever and ever and ever. So the oil producers are pretty happy about that, and the price reflected that. The Canadian dollar's up along with it a little bit, and both gold and the Aussie dollar are up. The Aussie dollar is the commodity currency for gold. And it looks like bonds dropped off a little bit, and then they're starting back up. So we'll see what happens. I don't know how many people in here trade soybeans, but they sure have had a nice run for 2 or 3 days. It looks like they're getting happier every day. So we've got the VIX is coming back up to pretty darn close to 20. And the rest of this, Brent seems, hopefully it will stabilize here. It's hanging out right around 37.30-ish, because it did fall well below that, down to about 36.5, and we need for that to go a little bit to the upside. There were some nice trades this morning, and I had a lot of things I had to get done today, but I scrolled through some of the chat in here, and I just want to caution some of these new people to make darn sure you fully understand the rules of the strategy that you're trading and use the correct chart to go with that strategy. You can tweak things later, but the first goal is to find a strategy that makes sense to you and literally master that one strategy. But you cannot do one strategy off of another different kind of a chart. That isn't going to turn out very well for you. Make sure you understand what those rules are. And I found it very helpful if I just make myself a little note and make myself a little checklist. So I've got exactly what I'm looking for, 1, 2, 3, for however many it takes for that to be a good trade for me to take, and then take that. If I don't have all those can't check all those little check boxes for what my checklist is, then I need to pass and take another one. And if you do that for quite a while, it'll become automatic. And at first, it's a real struggle to get these rules for these different ones. So it's best to just focus on one and then add another one. When one of them is like second nature to you. You can spot it a mile off. So, and yes, I'm really impressed. Craig's pointing out that TF has been in a barely missed X since 3 o'clock this morning. that's an old term that comes from back in the days when we didn't have all this wonderful stuff and we had the apex pattern. That's a that's a great call, Greg. But that's, you know what? That's an example of just what I'm talking about. He just he he got that thoroughly ingrained in his mind so he can spot them. That's great. I love it. It'll all come like that. That's why I don't try to learn every single strategy, because I can't remember all the rules for all that stuff. I just take the ones that are easy for me to remember. This morning we also, after crude oil have been in these red apexes for so long, if you're trying to learn the apex pattern, we had the first green E right here, about 10:20 this morning. Then we got the second one. So crude oil is now in an upward trend. The trend is to the green side, but what we notice is I really am impressed with this business right here from about 11:05 to about 11:40ish. This I-zone chart was very clear about all this chop. I have to find my mouse. Here it is. All this chop right in here. It's very, very easy to see when you ought to stay out. And if you notice, even though you got an E right here, which for me is a non-trade because it's going into the high of the day, and it's at a deviation, it's got another deviation ahead, there's not enough reward potential in here for me to take this. But a second way of looking at this is if you're taking the breakouts and thinking that after this one kind of long bar on this 5 minutes right here, you were going to take it above the swing. This swing, you never got a real confirmation here. Just great place to short it right there, down to the next one. That would have given you, and it's the sell zone right in here too. So all this stuff, if you just spend the time to notice what's happening, it'll start to become second nature. Don't hesitate to mark up your charts and put them in here. We all learn from them, and if you are doing something wrong or you didn't understand something exactly correct, use Jing, take a screenshot of it and stick it in here so you can get some feedback. We have a question in here, about the bunchy apex patterns. Those little bunched up apex patterns they're a sign of indecision. And I don't like those things at all, because within literally a matter of a few minutes, it can reverse. So to get the trend, this second E right here. That was a nice trade from the E up to the deviation. There was room in there to give you some reward, and especially coming off a settlement. This is one of Lori's elevators right here that came right off a settlement. So if you got into this at say about 36.50ish up to 80, that was about a 30 tick trend right there, which is nice, because if you get 20 or 25 ticks, and don't ever think that you're going to get the whole thing just perfect, like down here at 9 o'clock, this whole thing. If you get 60% of a move like this on any market, you're doing very well. Don't try to think that you have to do it from the exactly perfect best place from right here. If you got into this one at the low of yesterday, which is about 95-ish, and got out even at the open, that's still 20 ticks right there. Your next spot would be the ice. The next spot is the settlement, and when it goes through there, you can just trail your stop up and squeeze a few more ticks out of it. But from the low of yesterday to settlement, that's a very nice trade, and it's very profitable. So I'll come back at 2:30, and we'll kind of set up the week next week and some of the things we want to be looking for and some of the things we want to get done. So this has been my view from my world in Apex land, brought to you by Apex Investing. See you about 2:30.